This
call
conference will now
town
be
council
recorded.
meeting to order. The first thing will be the invocation with Jamie Lambert from Discovery Church.
Good evening, everyone. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we love and honor you. Let me start off by saying thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your blessings and the grace that you have shown us. Thank you for the ability of this town council to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Lord, I just thank you for the willingness to keep you in these proceedings. Lord, I pray for the mayor and the various levels of town officials, in particular this assembled council. And I'm asking that you graciously grant them wisdom to govern, even in the face of conflict and the issues of the town, a sense of the welfare and true needs of the people of the town, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there's disagreement, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them today and that your hand be in every decision. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around the town of Surfside. We ask this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I will now entertain any motions relating to the agenda, if anybody has them. Okay, if nobody has that, then the next thing on the agenda is the minutes approval for June 13th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes from June 13th, 2023, regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote on it? Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Ms. Keating,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckball,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mayor Hallier.
Yes. Okay, the next thing is public comments, and these are public comments based on agenda items. So if anybody has any public comments, feel free to step up.
Does that include the budget?
Beg your pardon?
Is the budget on this?
Yes.
Okay. Sean Fallon, 411 Cedar Drive North. I know everything's going up, and I understand that. And I know there's been conflict among the council with raising taxes. But what I'm asking of you all here is to be more responsible when spending our money. I don't think it's responsible buying that $1 million building across the street. I don't think it's responsible for having it painted like it was with the pretty picture and everything. I think there's a lot of spending going on that is unnecessary. So I'm asking you to watch how you're spending, because I'm not the only one watching you. This next election is going to prove how many people are actually listening to what you all have been doing. It concerns me. I moved here for the reason for lower taxes. You're going to move a lot of people out of here, especially older people. Already can't afford the hail and wind, some of the older people. So I'm asking you as council members to be more responsible, because I don't think you have in the past. And I'm not saying all of you, I'm just saying some of you. That's all I have to say.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, the next thing on the agenda goes to communications, and the first thing is the peer update with Chief Clement. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mr. Vincent, thank you for giving me another opportunity to give all of you an update on the pier along with the community. So if you've been by the pier site, you've seen that the crane has been removed. That was pretty interesting to watch if you didn't have an opportunity to go by there and see that, but it has been removed. They are combing the beach area around where the crane was for any debris and all of that to make sure that they get as much of that as possible, hopefully all of it. All the mechanicals have been turned on at the pier and in most of the buildings. The sign on the pier, the Tyson Sign Company has that contract, and they are going to be ordering the sign. The contract was signed by Mr. Vincent. It's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks for that sign to come in. And myself and Director John Adair went out and met with them, and it's only going to take them 2 to 3 days, I believe is what they said, to install the sign. So that'll be a nice addition to the pier. As we were out there, I had a discussion with the representatives from Tyson Sign about the existing pier sign that's on the boulevard, and it's been a while since that sign's been refreshed, so that sign is also going to be painted, and there's going to be a refresh to that sign also. John has been working with Consensus on the parking lot construction, and there's a few things that they're still working through with that, but you should start to see construction starting on that very soon. John was out there today marking locations for benches, and I think some of the fishing rod holders and some other odds and ends that he's been out there making sure that we're moving forward with those things. Handrails for the monumental stairs and the ramp. The shop drawings are with the engineer and the architect. They're going through some final review, and hopefully that will be completed, and we can start to see some handrails be installed on the pier. But they're working toward that, and that should happen very, very soon. The substantial completion date is still August the 8th. They're working hard to push that date up. And the RFP, again, just to remind council and the community, for the last available lease space is July the 14th at 3 p.m. I can tell you, I've personally taken, I think it's 6 interested parties up to that space and had them look at that space. So there is a lot of interest for that last space. So with that, I stand ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Mayor, did we give the architects and engineer a deadline for their approvals on the handrails, since they've been arguing about handrails for the better part of 3 years?
There was no deadline given, but we had a report today, and I know they are very close. I think it's still some connection points that they're having some more discussion about, but the majority of the handrails have been already built off-site. So there's progress that's being made, Ms. Keating, on that. That's a great question, but it's still, I think, some connection points is where we're still having a little bit of discussion. And there was some drawings that that the architects, they were waiting for from Consensus.
We have ongoing problems throughout this project with the responsiveness of our architects and engineers with approvals, because by the contracts, we only really have 30 days to resolve issues, and these have been ongoing for several years. So I would hope that they're not going to take much longer than a couple days to approve whatever they're looking at. It should be their top priority.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And the next thing is a finance report by Ms. King.
Stand up here. Good evening, everyone. This will be the report for May, which is only about a month old. Through the month of May, the town is in, I would say, very good financial shape. The general fund revenues are 7.3 million, and we've spent 7.5. In fact, the year-to-date expenditures are 3.5. Property tax collections are the 3.6 million, which is higher than what we budgeted. Business license revenue is also exceeding what we budgeted, because it's at 855, and I believe we had 850. MASC licenses, which we renewed last month, with your approval to collect that money for us, appear to be, they'll be coming in June, and they appear to be what we budgeted. Overall, the revenue appears to be on target for 23. Expenditures are high, but they are going to probably, hopefully they will come in just at budget, not a little higher than that. We have 1 more month to book, so I'm still waiting to see. The audit will start in probably August or so, so that will have everything booked by then. In May, we did have a tremendous number of new businesses for business license. We had 46 new business license accounts opened. 10 of those were for new businesses in town, 8 for new rentals, 10 for new contractors. We have a lot of contractors coming in, and 18 for out-of-town businesses that are gonna do work in town. Accommodations, hospitality, and local aid tax, collections are, for hospitality is 2.37 million, and for local aid taxes, 445,000. They're on target. We will get the money from the state for local, for state accommodations tax probably next month. The reports that I've gotten in between the months show that we're holding on about where we were last year. Boyd County road fees and the capital projects funds are coming in, and they're gonna offset the roads, which is something we did not get in the prior year. So that's very helpful to help pay the paving projects. Stormwater utility engineering work continues for the second page of the drainage project. Stormwater collections total $470,000. We're getting ready to send to the county the amount to bill for next year, and I believe it's like $475,000. The enterprise funds, pier and sanitation. Pier fund is in the back, we'll go over that in a minute. And sanitation is revenues 1.5 million versus 1.2 for expenditures. Sanitation holds its own as they always do. Parking revenue is 425,000, expenditures are 325. That is a combination of both vendors that did parking, because that's from the time period of last July on. If you want to turn to some of the other pages, just basically, if you look all the way down the road, if you go to the second page in, third page in, the revenue for the general fund has got 12% more to come in according to our budget, so I think we will make that with no problem. If you go a little further back with revenues, with expenditures, sorry, I wrote a bunch of notes on page, it says page 8 of 8 on the bottom. Our expenditures are $7,471,000 so far year to date. The loss right now is $173,000 as we stand right now. But in the month of June, and we can collect revenue all the way through August, that can go back and be booked to June, we should get our taxes, our MASC business licenses, our franchise fees from Santee Cooper, Dominion, and Charter. We should get intergovernmental money from the state for alcohol permits, for merchants rebates. There should be another check from VEMA, and we should get our check from Uber. Parking will have one more month. Then we'll have the transfers from the other funds, which are part of the budget, from sanitation, accommodations, hospitality, and local aid tax. So all of that will increase our revenues, which are only under budget right now by $14,000, 14%, excuse me, so it's not very much. $1.2 million is all we had to reach our budget. So we're doing extremely well. Sanitation fund, as I said, is just holding its own, as it always does. It does brings in more revenue than it spends. June, it should get its check for the sale of scrap and money from FEMA. We do have to take depreciation expense in the month of June, and we do have to transfer the last of the money to general fund to help support the employees in town hall that support sanitation fund. Pier fund, right now they have net revenue because we have not booked the pier yet per se. Revenue exceeds expenses by 1.7 million, but that's the money we got from the state. Accommodations tax fund, we will get the revenue from the state in probably July for June for the last quarter. Hospitality, we should get transfers from the other funds. And the net revenue right now is in 1.257 million. Local accommodations in June, we'll transfer money to general fund. With that is the one fund right now that's showing a loss for the year, but that's because we have sent so much money up to the pier that we had in fund balance. That's why it has a negative $38,000. Stormwater fund is a positive $334,000, which is the money that they've collected from stormwater fees and also from money from the county. That is money from the county, sorry. And capital projects has a net of $320,000. That would be the money from county vehicle tax. And if we've spent very little except for the demolition of the building that was at town hall. And we've put away another $150,000 for beach renourishment, which we probably won't do for a while. And the last page is the pier. So far on the pier, our costs to date are $19,214,990. That includes consensus and all of the things that we pay for the pier, including insurance. The grant from FEMA, as you well know, was the $9,947,000, and for months we were holding out, waiting for our last little bit from FEMA, and it finally came in April. So they have paid us every bit that they had said they would pay us. So if you take the FEMA and you add the money that we've transferred in from the other funds, plus the bond proceeds, plus the PRT grants that we've gotten, we've taken in $20,546,000 for the pier. And we spent 19.2. So we have a little bit more. The rest down at the bottom is just showing all the change orders that have gone through from consensus. Change orders to date are $4,995,000 for the change orders. And with the best guesses we have, and there'll be more things to pay, for the sign is not included, some of the other things are not included in that totals at the bottom. Right now, the best guess is that we'll pay $20,546,000 for the pier, which is same as money we brought in, with a little contingency of $370,000 that we have to take the sign and other things out. And that's the numbers for the month. If anybody has any questions?
Yes, Mayor, I just have one question. We have about $340,000 here designated as construction change directive number 5 for hurricane cleanup. Is that what is subject to their insurance claim?
That's what we paid them toward, yes.
Okay, well, we shouldn't be paying them for force majeure
It's been approved.
claims.
I don't know exactly what that was, Jerry, do you know? That's what the engineers approved that we paid them.
Yeah, what we paid for has already been approved. There's outstanding other expenses that have not.
Well, but under the force majeure clause, any damages or rework or any expenses arising out of an act of God, such as a hurricane, we don't pay for. They take their money, we take, they take their expenses, we take ours. We have the ability to grant a delay time, but we are not obligated to pay expenses. So I would question why we've accepted a change directive for $340-ish thousand due to a force majeure. That might be something you want to go back to Zane and ask why.
I had the same question because I got looking at it, it's over $350,000, and it's just, that's what insurance is for. So.
Anybody else have any questions? No?
Thank
All right.
you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, and the next thing on the agenda is, under the business is the second reading ordinance 230956, an ordinance of the town of Surfside to adopt the 2023-24 fiscal year municipal budget and to give the millage, and to set the millage rate for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. That's with Administrator Bates.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I don't have any other information to add. Where we left it off based on reductions, we were at a deficit in the general fund of $318,000. And so we're waiting for a motion for how to cover that deficit through other funds.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, we do. I'll make a motion to accept step ordinance 23-0956, our second reading on the 23-24 municipal budget as presented, with a request that a budget review meeting be held in late July to early August to consider any changes in the budget amendments. And this budget does not have a millage increase as of now.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion?
One second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote on it?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
why are we gonna revisit it? I mean, we beat this thing to death. And while I'm not one of them that's in favor of not having a millage increase, there was no real discussions about what we were adding personnel wise. The budget, what we were actually spending is, everybody's agreed to, the discussion and differences was how we funded it. We've got the conclusion that we've got a process. Let's move on.
Well, in discussions with everybody was saying that there are certain things that still need to be done and that's whatever. So, as part of the motion, we just agreed that we would get together in July or August and talk about it. And we're gonna need to make budget amendments anyway, as things move forward. So that's the reasoning in it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
that's the reason I think this is good, because we should be looking at budget anytime we need to make the changes we have. So this doesn't make any difference from that.
Mr. Mayor, I think, just a point of clarification, this budget also assumes deferrals of expenses to the September, October timeframe. So if we meet for a budget review, say in early August, then we have a better picture of what our standing is as to whether those expenses should be further modified or accepted as projected in the current budget.
Any other comments? In that case, Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mrs. Keating,
Yes,
Mr. Kinkin,
No.
Mr. Kreplall,
No.
Mr. Stamey,
No.
Mayor Hallier.
Yes. Okay, with that, the next thing on the agenda is the public comments about town services or businesses conducted. Okay, if nobody's stepping forward for that. The next thing is the town council discussion, since we are gonna have an executive session, or most likely gonna have an executive session. So we'll start out with Mr. Drake.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and the public participation is very good. Again, we went through the budget process with no millage increase. That's a good thing for the residents of Surfside Beach. And the 4th is coming up. Everybody cheer along, join us in the golf cart parade, and we'll have a wonderful time. And we live in a wonderful place here in Surfside. So let's stop and think about that for a while and just enjoy the week. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kreklaw.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and the ones that are listening, and hopefully more people will start taking an interest in our town. I'd like to say thank you to all the staff members that have provided me with some information recently that was asked for in a short time frame, and they came through with what I think was some good information. So with that being said, good night and see you next time.
Mr. Stanley.
Thanks for everybody coming and everybody listening. 4th of July is coming up, everybody. So get out and enjoy the 4th and celebrate, have a good time. And we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Ms. Keating.
yeah, as with everybody else, thanks for coming out, taking your time to be part of this process. It's not always easy, but it does usually end up affecting all of our lives one way or another. This time, we have a balanced budget that has passed, that does not include a millage increase for this year. We have availability of other funds to absorb some of our expenses. And if it means we have to tighten a belt here and there, then so be it. I think it's a fair compromise to say that we will revisit some, extra spending that was incorporated into this budget. We deferred it through October and September, so it's fair to say when we have a better standing of where our revenue is come the end of July, the 1st of August, we can always revisit that decision and decide if it's worthwhile, feasible, fiscally responsible, or something that maybe can be deferred until next year or later in this year. So I think that's just a very prudent action on behalf of council, so. Make sure you get out and enjoy all the various activities for the 4th of July and throughout our summer holiday. We're finally getting some summer weather, which I personally am very thankful for. Because I've always said to my friends in Pennsylvania, I never have to shovel my driveway when it's 104. So that's a good thing. So with that, as always, thanks for all the comments and the messages and questions, emails and Facebook posts. So stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Mr. Kinkin.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everybody for coming out, tuning in. First person I want to thank is Chief Clemens for the great job he did being our interim manager. We haven't said enough, or I haven't said enough about the work he did, but I got emails on weekends, late at night. One of them had a list of like 14 things he was working on. The guy had his plate full, plus he was still running the fire department. So I really appreciate all the hard work you did for this town and your wife for letting you do it. We did pass a budget, and like any budget, there are winners and losers. Our winners, our fire department took a major step forward to being able to supply better service to Surfside and the surrounding area. It's going to be safer for them, and that was a big selling point. Chief did a great job of explaining the process, and that was never a discussion up here. Well, it was, but he made a great point. Our employees, they won. They have a dedicated HR person that can help them with situations. I know I used one for an insurance issue. Couldn't handle it myself, turned it over to them and it got taken care of. So I'm excited about having a dedicated HR person. And the council members who did not want a tax increase, they won. I think some of the manipulation took place in the 11th hour, but it still got taken care of. Our losers are council people like me who think we should be paying as we go. And if you're going to spend money on salaries, you've got to cover them somewhere. So we just kicked the can down the road, but it'll work out. One of the things that we live in a city that has been well run. We do have funds available. And I want to thank Diana for the great job she's been doing for the last 15 years. It pays off. The negative spending that we're going to have in the next 2 years won't hurt us long term. Citizens have benefited from kicking the can down the road. They're going to realize one day we're going to have to cover that cost, and it'll be a form of raised taxes. Might be 3 years, might be 4 years, but eventually it'll catch up to us. And the other loser was us by not following our own ordinances. I really think that is terrible that the council made that display. We expect you all to follow them, and yet we're not following our own. But we live in a great town and should not dwell on the negative. Hopefully everybody will enjoy the 4th, have a great summer, and we'll see you here in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Mr. Holder.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And as you can tell, I'm feeling a lot better and went through 3 physical therapies. I'm starting to use my arms, and that's good. But I'm thrilled that we got a budget passed. I made no secret of it. Our number one thing for council is to pass the budget, and we did that. So we got to continue to work on the budget, make sure that we're accountable for it, and make sure everything's reached. And also, we'd like to thank Public Works for all the great work they're doing this summer, and also our police and fire department, what y'all do. Love you. So with that, I just want to say thank you and good night.
Thank you. The town administrator asked me if I'd read this, and this is from the events department. It says, the events department would like to formally invite you all and the public to 2 events celebrating Independence Day. The first is the 4th of July Golf Cart Parade. We'll begin at the flag presentation and the Pledge of Allegiance to kick off the parade at 11 a.m. Line up in the parking lot behind the Holiday Inn, and we'll head down Ocean Boulevard to Melody Lane. The judges' table will be in front of Chimichanga Llama. First, second, and third prizes will be awarded at the Chimichanga Llama immediately following the parade. There is still time to register by going to surfsidebeach.org or visit our Town of Surfside Beach Facebook page. Our second event is the 4th of July celebration from 5 to 8 p.m. in Memorial Park. Come and enjoy music by the Catalinas, food trucks, a great kids zone, giveaways, games, photo booth, beverage tent, and more. Admission for both events is free, and we'll be selling our special edition 4th of July t-shirts at the event. The t-shirts will go on sale starting Friday, June 30th at Town Hall. We look forward to seeing all of you and celebrating America together. I would like to thank council for working together to try to get this budget done. I mean, this is sort of our deadline. It needed to get passed by the end of June. And now that we got it passed, the budget is always something that is a work in progress. So, you know, where we're going to visit it, we're going to keep looking at it. And as things need to be adjusted, we are going to adjust it. But our main point is getting this done without raising the millage, which we were able to do at this time. So with that, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to convene an executive session in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-70A1, for discussions of employment and compensation issues, and Section 30-4-70A2 for potential contractual arrangements with Pivot Parking.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
This regular meeting is adjourned and we will go into executive session.